So this is controversial, but I'm going to share my thoughts anyway. So a lady shared her dilemma with me that many of us have come across or even experienced ourselves, and it's about their spouse having an opposite sex bestie. This has been bothering her for a while, and honestly, I just feel like it's one of those age-old questions in relationships. Is it okay for your partner to have an opposite sex best friend? So let's just jump into it. So the woman who reached out said that her husband has a female bestie and they've been friends for a very long time. In fact, they were even friends before she came into the picture. In fact, to make matters worse, this bestie is the one who even introduced her to her husband. But the issue is that her husband is closer to her bestie than herself, and it just makes her feel jealous or insecure. But she doesn't know how to address it because the friendship predates their own marriage, their own relationship with her husband. Now, this scenario brings up the popular question, if it's okay for your spouse to have an opposite sex bestie. And the thing is, there are different schools of thought to this question. Some people will say that as long as their spouse isn't hiding anything from them, then it's fine. Some people believe that it depends on when the friendship started. So, for example, in her case, if the friendship started before she got into the picture, then there's nothing they'll do about it. They'll just be fine. Some people will say, no, God forbid, it can never be me. Well, my opinion on this is that this situation is a no-no, and I'm going to explain why. So please stay with me, and at the end of the video, I'll also be telling her how to go about this, because she is asking what to do in a situation like this because she's not having it anymore. She's not comfortable with the relationship with her husband's bestie. So yeah, I'm going to share my thoughts about what I think she should do, and I'll be happy to hear what you guys think she should do in this situation. Now, first of all, I'm going to establish why I think this is a bad idea. So, the first reason I think this is a problem is the emotional entanglement that may come out of this. Having a bestie of the opposite sex can lead to emotional entanglements. Let me just explain. Imagine your partner comes home from a stressful day, but instead of confiding in you, they've already, offloaded everything to their bestie. By the time they get home, they won't even have that enthusiasm, or, there'll just be nothing left to discuss with you. It just creates this emotional distance in your marriage while depending on the bond between your partner and their bestie. So I don't know, do you see where I'm going? Relationship that might have started innocently, but over time it just chips away that connection as a couple from you. He gets closer to his bestie over time than closer to you. So I just don't see how this thing is going to work. Another issue is comparison, and there may be conflicting advices. So, for example, let's say your partner has this new idea of maybe investing in something, maybe real estate or something, and you advise maybe caution, or maybe he should hold on for a little bit based on your maybe financial priorities. But then your spouse turns to their bestie who gives them all that validation they need to feel good about their idea. This will just create a divide because the bestie doesn't have the full picture of your family's circumstances. So it can lead to your spouse questioning your perspective and feeling more understood by this bestie. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. She doesn't have the full picture. She doesn't know other financial commitments you guys may have. So she might just encourage him and tell him, yeah, this is a good idea, and so on and so forth. And he just starts to see her in a different light, like, okay, this is the person who has me, this is the person who wants the best for me, without considering other things that may be involved. Another issue is boundaries. So some people might argue that as long as there are boundaries, it's okay. But let's be real, opposites attract. Even if both parties have good intentions, the potential for romantic feelings, doesn't just disappear. Why leave space for something that could disrupt your marriage? So I'm not saying your partner can't have female friends, can't have friends of the opposite sex, but making one their bestie, the person they share everything with, crosses a line in my book. So what should someone do in this situation? And this is what I would suggest. The first thing you should do is to communicate. Obviously, you need to express yourself and tell him how you're feeling. Let them know how you feel without being, confrontational. but from a place of vulnerability. Use statements like I, instead of I, maybe you say something like, I feel left out when you share certain things with your bestie and leave me out. This approach just ensures that they don't feel attacked. They'll be more open to hear you out. Another thing I would suggest is that you establish boundaries, okay? Discuss what makes you uncomfortable about the friendship and work with your spouse to create that boundary. For instance, agreeing that deep personal issues or your marital matters should remain between you two. This isn't just about controlling your spouse, but it's about protecting the intimacy of your relationship. So you need to strengthen that bond. If your spouse turns to their bestie often, it could mean they are fulfilling an emotional need that isn't being met yet in your marriage. So focusing on improving your connection might naturally reduce their reliance on the bestie. You also need to build trust and not ultimatums. So demanding that your spouse ends the friendship might just backfire. So especially since it predates your relationship. Instead, just build trust by showing you respect their history with the bestie while you make your needs clear. So for example, you can say something like, I understand that maybe Choma is important to you, but I'll love it if you came first to me on matters that mean the most to you, or matters that matter the most to you. Another thing I will also suggest is that you should get to know this bestie. Since the bestie introduced you to your husband, there's already some level of trust. So use that to your advantage. Just spend time with them together. This can help you feel less threatened, and it will also give you an opportunity to observe their dynamic firsthand. So finally, I would say you should seek guidance if necessary. So if the situation becomes overwhelming or leads to frequent conflicts, consider couple counseling. A neutral third party can help both of you navigate the situation without being biased. Then I would also say you should self-reflect. So reflect on why you feel jealous or insecure. Is it the way your spouse interacts with your bestie, or is it just tied to personal insecurities? So you need to work on your self-confidence as well, and it will empower you to feel more secure in your relationship. So the goal here to me isn't in fact, it's not to dissolve their friendship, but to ensure that your marriage remains the priority and that both of you feel valued and respected, okay? So that you still keep that friendship, but it should be on a friendship level, not a bestie level. So at the end of the day, I just believe that the best relationships grow from friendship, and your spouse should be your number one confidence. So if you need a bestie, why didn't you marry her in the first place? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry, but I do not get it, and I don't think it's a good idea at all. But in a situation where she introduced you to your husband, this is the only reason why I'm saying you should play it this way. Otherwise, it's a no for me. I don't get it at all. So please enlighten me if you think differently about the situation, or what do you think she should do. Should she just ignore what's going on, build on her confidence, and just live her life like that, or should she address this issue? Just let me know your thoughts. If you agree with me, tell me why you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, please enlighten us on why you think so. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'll bring you many more interesting situations like this and share my thoughts, and I'll also be happy to learn from you. So thank you and have a good day. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.